Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap and also welcome to another session that we are taking with interview in our topper session series. And today we have with us Miss Kriti Srivastava. She has recently cleared RBI Grade B examination of the year 2022. So whatever strategies did she follow as an aspirant to now become the manager in RBI, and whatever the sources did she followed, everything we are going to understand from her in this particular interview. So first of all, ma'am, welcome to EduTap and heartiest congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Right. So aspirants, first of all, they would be very interested to know about your educational background, like how you started and when did you finally decide that you want to join RBI and you started working for it.
So basically, I'm a mechanical engineer. I passed out in 2017. And after that, I worked in an automobile company, Maruti Suzuki India Limited, in research and development as assistant manager. And after some times, I just decided that I have to go for government job. Not exactly I decided for RBI firstly, but I decided that I have to go for government job. So my preparation started with a broad spectrum. Then I followed the exam that I should give RBI exam also. So it was not like I was started preparation for RBI only. I started for government job in general.
Right.
So then I left my job and I started my preparation, and then I followed it till here.
Right. So how many attempts have you given for RBI?
This was my first attempt.
Okay, so this was your first
This
attempt and you have cleared in that only.
Yeah.
So that's really a big thing to do, that to clear in the first attempt. Right. So as you said that you were preparing for government examination only, so the basics of the phase one of RBI, somewhat it clashes in terms of when we talk about quant reasoning and English. So, what were the sources? Did you follow specifically or RBI, or you feel like that for any government examination, there are some common chapters that you have to study for all quant reasoning and English, and that would be sufficient? Or there were some specific concepts or topics that are there specifically if you're preparing for RBI?
Ma'am, actually, since I started for all the government jobs, so quant reasoning come in almost all the exams.
Right.
English also comes in, and even the general studies. So I have, before qualifying for RBI, I have qualified many prelims and many mains exams also of other government jobs, like UPSC also have given mains, state civil services exam also have given two mains. So I
Okay.
could not clear there, but I have an idea of qualifying quant reasoning and English so that I can pass the cutoff. And also of general studies, I had a deep knowledge about the general studies. I had the basics clear. I am reading newspapers since 2 years, 2.5 years, so I had my things clear for particularly RBI. Then I had did not had to put much efforts because I was already prepared. I was already clearing prelims and mains of other exams, and then I went for it. I should try this also. I should not just focus on one thing, and RBI is a good opportunity. So I just tried for it and went for it.
Right. Because
So
first,
there,
yeah.
for quant reasoning and English, I would say we should stick to one source, one standard book of quant reasoning and English, and practice it thoroughly. It is sufficient to cross the cutoff, since cutoff is 63 this time for phase one. It is not that high that you have to be a perfectionist in everything like in reasoning and quant. It should be about to qualify the phase one. It should be about qualifying the phase one. And for current affairs, I would say I only followed marathon sessions of EduTap, and I did it 2 3 times because you forget it and you
Right.
do not recall it in exams. And
Right.
for me, I felt that many questions were direct from the marathon sessions. So I would say in last 1 month I did marathon sessions. I followed it religiously because I had no idea how to do this exam, because I was not ready for this exam. So I relied on EduTap completely कि जो मतलब whatever it is, it will be this only. So I relied on it completely. Marathon sessions I did it 2 3 times. I think it was very helpful.
Right. One thing that is regarding quant, that as you said, that it is common for all the examination or most of the examination of government. But here one thing is observed, that the level of quant, the kind of
Yes,
questions or the topics that are asked in RBI, they are quite at the higher level than the rest of the examination. So your aim regarding that was just to clear the cutoff, or
cut
did
off.
you? Okay.
I prepared for clearing the cutoff because I analyzed the pattern. Since last year cutoff was 66. Before that cutoff I analyzed. So I analyzed that we have to just clear the phase one. Because in competitive exams we cannot be a perfectionist in every field. We have to
True.
focus in other areas also. So I just focused on कि I have to clear the cutoff. So for reasoning also, because agar if we go for bank exam with a nationalized bank exam reasoning, that is of higher level. We do not have to do that. 80 marks is general awareness. If we are good in that, we just have to qualify other sections.
Right. So,
And being an engineer, I think helped for quant reasoning a bit.
right.
I think that.
Right, because you have that background, right? And for
Mm.
like for current affairs, as you said that you relied on marathon session. So basically, the strategy that you basically followed was reading newspaper daily, and when it was the examination, it was near. At that time, you followed only the marathon sessions.
Marathon.
That would give you a better revision of it, right? So one thing that maybe aspirants who also rely or would want to rely on newspaper would want to ask that, do you used to make notes from the news or newspaper every day, or you just read because you are reading it every day, so it was a constant revision for you?
I think initially when I started newspapers, when I started my profession, I used to make notes. Gradually, I felt that we just need to clear the concept from newspaper. Like we need to be familiar with the terms which come in newspaper. We need to search it, make notes of that one time, and then when the terms come again and again, you are well versed with the terms. So not there is no need to make notes of the same thing again and again. What are the data's changed every 3 months. Since I have been in a long preparation phase, so I know the changes every 3 months or 4 months. The scenario changes. Before COVID, whatever I had read, after COVID it was just nullified. So
Right.
these things are very much practical. So no, note making should be that if any term is not known to you, any economic term, any financial term, so note that. Don't go for noting the data specific, because data changes and you can gather data in the last days of the exam, because many coachings provide that.
Right. Right, so that's really insightful, because that is the confusion that most of the aspirants have regarding how to prepare if they want to rely on newspaper. And as you said that you just have to you read it, and whatever examination you're preparing for, there are many channels who give that marathon before the examination, and you just you did that. So did you also did mock test for phase one as well?
I did not go for solving the mock test like in the like exam environment. I just did it after completing the session of mock test. I just let it to complete and then I solved it.
Okay.
Huh. I did not do it like sitting religiously, but I did solve the questions of general awareness. I solved the questions. I should be more, I was ready for more and more questions I should solve, so that many things are passed by my eyes. So I can
Right.
recall the option and take it from there. Because of government scheme, there is no use of reading and reading only until and unless you do the questions. You
Right.
do not get how to mark the questions right when there are so many options, one, two, three, four, you have to select in that. You should be well versed with the practice of the mocks, how you
Right.
have to select the options.
Right. So this is a very different strategy what I have observed from the other aspirants, and it's quite workable. Like it worked for you, that instead of giving more exam like mock test, you just followed and you did more and more questions, and your
Yes.
aim was to get more and more knowledge and the kind of questions that are asked in examination, and all the data that is being present in the explanation or maybe in the option itself. Right. So this is a very this is literal a great strategy for that can be followed for phase one. And after phase one, now let's talk about phase two. So now in that we have descriptive. So as you said, you have given some other examination also, so that must have given a little bit would have been helpful in this also. But still, for the aspirants who would be giving the descriptive answer writing for the very first time, so for them, do you want to suggest them that how what are the things that should be in your answers that would make it stand out from the rest of the answers that the aspirants have given?
And for phase two, I would first like to talk about economics, social issues, and finance. Since these are the topics very much in common with other exams also, so many must be preparing for other exams. They can have an idea that for an answer to be attractive to the examiner, since they have to check 3,000 copies in 10 days, they check and give the results. So we have to understand they are not checking each and every line, so there has to be something in the starting which attracts the examiner also. So we should whatever are the current issues and whatever the issues which are very important, like about the women gender gap index, about children, about malnutrition, these are some of the topics which are very much common and which can be used in every answer. About environmental topics, so I made a list of all the topics like these, and I made a list of the data points, 4 5 data points of for everything. Like for women, if something is related to women, I was prepared for gender gap index, human development index, inequality index, like these things. Yeah, maternal mortality rate, IMR,
Right.
like this, and percentage of anemic person, like this. If it is something related to children, you are prepared with some of the reports, UNICEF report, yeah, World Development Report, India Niti Aayog report, some of. So I made a list of every topic and 4 5 reports and some data points which I had to write in my answer. So I it was like I compiled it in 2 3 pages, like heading wise, women this, environment these 4 reports, and I marked up the data in the last 10 12 days. When I had to give the exam in last year, it is not very difficult. If you are well versed with the newspaper, it is not difficult to remember the data. If it is anything related to science and technology, if it comes in essay, you should be prepared with innovation index, what is India's ranking there. You should
Rank,
be prepared
yes.
with how much budget percentage in science and technology it is there, 0.6. Like these data are very much in daily of our study routine, but we do not compile it somewhere. It is
Right.
always scattered. So first thing is you should be good with data, because that thing attracts the examiner. If your answer starts with the data points which is going in current, so that attracts. And basic theory which is behind every question, that is known to mostly aspirants who clear phase one, I suppose. Ki what are the main points, but data sets them apart. And also I felt completing the word limit helps. Like in RBI, if you are near about the word limit,
Hmm.
that helps. That gives a give a good impression of you, that you are well versed with the descriptive answer writing.
Right.
So I think that is the two things I kept in mind.
Right. So, for ESI, because it is something that we know the issues that are currently going on in India. So, what you did, you made data points regarding whatever be the economic issues and social issues that we are facing, so that any question come, you can incorporate those data point in that. But if we talk about FM, so this is something that would be very different from the other examinations that you were preparing for. So, how much time did you dedicate, or what source did you follow, or what was your approach? I think aspirants they would want to know about that.
For me personally, I did not know about how to tackle management. I have never studied management before this. So I was prepared that after a prelims result and before mains, there were 12 days. I was prepared for 7 to 8 days to management, because I was confident in other subjects that I can handle it. So 7 to 8 days I dedicated for management, and I completely followed EduTap. Blindly I followed EduTap, because since I don't know anything in that, I should trust the experts there.
Right.
I feel that. So I blindly followed the phase two course which your coaching launches, and I blindly followed all the chapters, the descriptive questions, the objective questions of management, and I completed that. And the questions were from there only.
Right. Because most aspirants they do so that they keep on referring to many sources, and this by this a lot of time it gets wasted. So you just stick to one syllabus and you were like, अगर लिखा है तो सही ही लिखा होगा, and you just followed that and that worked for you, right?
I think that comes with experience, because I have been preparing for exams and I have been constantly giving exams. So I now have complete clarity that if you follow one coaching, revise it 2 times the material, any coaching. you are halfway through the process. If you
Right.
have your concepts clear, you just have to follow one source, revise it 2 3 times, make your own condensed notes, more and more condensed. You can revise it at the time of exams, before 10 minutes, before 15 minutes. If you have no condensed notes of yourself, you can very well pass the exam. It felt big deal earlier, but now it is not, I feel.
Right. Right. True. So this you followed for ESI and FM. That for ESI you looked at some of the topics that are going on currently, and for FM you followed our source and you just kept on revising that. Now, if we talk about English, so was there some different approach that you followed for English, or you just prepared for ES and FM thinking that it would cover up the English portion as well?
So for essay writing, I was sure the data I have collected for all the subjects will help me. Like even the phase one government schemes will help me. So I just relied on the phase one part, which I had reports, government scheme I studied, and my data collections, and the general understanding. For pressy writing, I watched the videos on your site only, how to write a pressy, because there are very do's and don'ts I heard attached with pressy. So I
Right.
followed Pressy videos. There are free videos on your site. So I followed Pressy for the videos. And RC, I think I did not practice much. But yeah, I was sure I can do it. But for Pressy, I went for practice.
Right. So
Because I think Pressy was most difficult for me.
right, because you knew your strength and weaknesses and you understood that this is something that really need to work on, and rest you can manage, and that is why you focused on it and you practice that. So that's good that you know where to work more. That helped you during the examination. So now this we talk about phase one and phase two. And I think maybe because you have given mains of other examination also, so I think I don't know, but maybe you were okay like when you went to phase two, because it's like you have already been at this stages in other examination also. But now let's talk about the interview. That first of all, how did you feel that finally you're appearing on interview of RBI, and that too in your first attempt, and how did you prepared for that?
It felt good because I had been failing in mains of other exams. So I felt it was unexpected that I cleared it. I was like waiting ki I will not clear it, because since I have been failing. So it was very good. And for interview, I think newspaper worked. I preferred two newspaper then when I qualified for interview. I preferred two newspaper, Indian Express and Economic Times. So and RBI website. Three things I just prepared a lot, so that. And for interview, I think I was very much worried about my gap years. So that was a weak point which I felt if I will be asked a question about that, I will go nervous on that day. But mock interview which I went through EduTap, they taught me how to handle these questions, because I was very much worried about gap year. They will ask me what were you doing these days. So I did not wanted to emphasize that I was giving other exams also. I was very nervous ki what will they feel about
Right.
that. So also I had an engineering background, so I was expecting a question why an engineer wants to go in RBI. I was expecting a question like that, and that was the first question also. So these were the two questions which I was worried about the most. And the technical part, I just focused on studying. I think that was the part manageable by studying, and this was the part I was nervous about, which I went through mock test. I think that helped me a lot. But 30 minutes they asked me questions and questions from RBI website and all, some 10, 20 questions they asked me. So I was very clear that this needs to be prepared more. This I am done with. So I was questions were very much expected on the day of interview.
Right, because you have already given a mock test, so you had an idea that what kind of questions can be asked, and then you prepared that accordingly. So, were there some personal questions also there during the interview, or it
Uh,
just
first,
technical?
first, first, first only I was asked why, when you were working in such a good company in automobile
Yeah.
sector, why did you leave it and just went for something you don't know about? So I just answered them, this is the area of interest. I want to be in
Mm.
here. They were convinced for my answer. They pushed a bit, but they were convinced. Also, one mindset I had already made, that there is no harm if I don't answer one or two questions. That is very important. If you try to be perfect in your interview, that does not help. I think even they asked me, do you read reports directly from RBI website? So I answered them honestly that I read first summary, which comes on many coaching portals. Then I go for some detailings in the reports, because it is not every time practically possible that I sit and read all the reports.
True.
So I did not fake it there. Ki, no, I read reports and then they ask me some question and I am not able to answer. I even told them some of the terms I do not get in your reports. They are so difficult. So I think being honest is the key. If you're honest with your preparation, you are honest in your interview.
Right, that's true. You have to be honest with whatever you are showing to them, because they are there to analyze that only. So, if we talk about the panel, so was it all like cordial, or were they a little bit grilling you?
No, they were very much cordial. I think they were very much cordial. I was expecting a grilling session, like they will ask very hard questions and they will raise their bros and all, but they were very friendly and very cordial. This
Right,
was a good part. Yes, and I was prepared ki there will be one or two questions, since they are experts in their field. There will be one or two questions I might not be knowing, so I had prepared myself ki it's not about answering everything, it's about answering the most which I
right.
know. So there were one or two questions which I didn't know. Rest all I answered. So
Right. So this was about Kriti Srivastava's journey and how she prepared for RBI. She started for phase one. She said about giving. She did give mock tests, but the unique approach that she followed, that she focused on attempting more and more questions, so that she is well aware of how the questions can be asked and what are the answer to that. And for phase two, she says that there are some of the most common topics that are economic and social issues that is going on. So what she did, she started making data points for that, that whatever question that is linked to such data it can come, she can use that, especially in the introduction section, because so that it will give better impression to the examiner who would be checking the copy. And for FM, she says that she studied the material and she kept on revising that, because that was the unfamiliar territory for her. And also she says that she relied on the marathon session at the last moment, that helped her to boost up her preparation. And for interview, she says be honest with whatever the bio data that you have provided. And it's okay if you do not know some of the questions, because at the end it's all about getting the maximum answers correct, rather than just pretending to be perfect. So ma'am, have I missed anything?
no, ma'am, it's complete. Yes.
Right. So ma'am, at the end, do you want to say something to the aspirants who are preparing for the examination?
Ma'am, at last I would like to say there is a phase when we fail. I have went through that phase. It's just about it is just about keep going. Do not give up. I have seen many of my friends give up in between and went for other things, but I was very much confident that one day will be mine. So just go on and be honest with your preparation, because you are not fooling anyone. You are fooling yourself only. So that's
True.
it.
True. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining
Thank
with
you,
us,
ma'am.
for sharing your views and the insights. And I'm sure it is going to help a lot of aspirants who are in their preparation journey, and who might be not able to reach their goals yet. This would be a booster for them. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining with us, and all the very best for your future.
Thank you.